Alright, everyone, welcome back to the BGF podcast, episode 11. I'm your host, Gianluca, alongside of
Brandon.
And today we got the NFC West divisional breakdown. But before we get into that, Justin Herbert just broke the market, didn't he?
$52.5 million per year.
That is some crazy money for that quarterback.
It's not a surprise. Every quarterback in that tier that's gonna sign is gonna get that type of money. They're all gonna break the record.
How much do you pay Joe Burrow?
If Herbert's getting 52.5, I think Burrow should be getting 55.
I agree, because I think Burrow's the better quarterback.
Yeah, me too, and I think it's not really close.
No, that's it. And you're paying this guy 52.5. I think Lamar's a better quarterback than him.
Yeah, me too. Justin Herbert, has he even won a playoff game yet? I know last year was his first one, but they didn't.
No, he choked it to the
Jags. It's true. So he has not shown anything in the playoffs. He hasn't won anything.
He's just a flashy stat guy, you know. He has the good stats, and you know he's a good quarterback. I love Herbert, but fuck, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I would say he doesn't deserve it, but like any QB at this point that's gonna sign is just gonna get that money. So it's not much of a surprise. He got what he got, and we'll see Joe Burrow break it next, and then after that, I don't even know who's.
I don't even know who's after Joe Burrow. Maybe Lawrence. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably the next big guy. Fields won't even break it. Whoever he gets.
No, that's it. But yeah, no, it's crazy signing there at the Chargers. We also got Trayvon Diggs re-signing 5 years, like 20-something mil.
The highest paid corner in the NFL, which is crazy to me.
It's crazy to me because he's a glorified ball hawk.
You're gonna get a lot of people mad with that statement.
It doesn't matter. Go look at his numbers in man coverage. He's not too great. He's just a ball hawk. Yeah, I guess the turnovers was great. You want your corners to do that, but you also want them to be able to defend players.
Andrew Thomas also left tackle from the Giants gets
re-up. That's a nice contract for him, but he deserves it. He's been one of the better linemen on that team, especially.
What was the number exactly? I'm not sure.
Like 22, 23, something around that ballpark in the 20s.
Nice little contract for one of the young up and coming left tackles in the league.
Yeah. Even the Houston guy re-upped, but like 60-something was really good signing for them. Maybe he'll do something, but yeah.
We're gonna get into our predictions here. We're gonna start with the Niners. Earlier this week, we posted a video where we previewed the Niners season. So if you want to hear that, go watch that. It's on our channel. So we're just gonna get straight into the record prediction for the Niners. Week 1, we see them take on the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. What do you think?
I mean, there's not much to say here. Sorry, I think the Niners are gonna stomp the Steelers. Week 1.
Yeah. I think we're gonna move on to 1-0 on the year as well. I think it shouldn't be much. Here, I'll get you. I get you into.
Yes, sir. We got the paper. Sorry, boys.
So yeah, for me, for the Niners, I'm gonna go 1-0. So I think the Steelers might be like a bit better this year, but I'm expecting the same 500 team under Mike Tomlin. Like
I don't think they got that much better, and especially with that division. It's really hard.
With Baltimore and Cincy in it.
Even Cleveland putting up a good
Cleveland
fight.
as well. I like Cleveland this year.
No, that's it. Anyways, week 2, they're going away.
Our first divisional matchup again on the road for 2 weeks in a row. We play the Los Angeles Rams. I think we're gonna sweep the Rams this year. We usually own them in the regular season, especially with how much of a regression that roster has had in the past 2 years. I'm not expecting much from them, and I think the Niners are going to take this one again and move to 2-0.
No, I'd have to agree with you. I don't like the Rams roster. They just got Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald, and that's about it.
And a bunch of nobodies after that. Cam Akers.
They sold to win the Super Bowl. It worked out. They got their Super Bowl, but here's the repercussion now. Rebuild for forever.
They're going to be paying the price for a very long time. So
no, that's it.
We'll move on to next up against the New York Giants on week 3.
Your first home game.
Yep, at home against the Giants. They had a really
prime
nice.
Time.
Yeah. Is it a prime time?
Thursday nighter.
Oh, it is. Are you sure?
Thursday nighter.
Yeah, 5:15.
That's Pacific though.
Oh, I didn't say that. But yeah, so against the Giants, they had a really nice season last year. I don't think they could recreate that, and I think at home we should. There should be another layup game for us. I think we go to 3-0. and start off as one of the best teams in the NFL.
As long as they don't take these opponents lightly, that's a very nice start, and it continues because week 4.
Because we saw it last year with us. Like we lost to the Bears. We lost to Atlanta. We lost to Denver. Out of our 4 losses, those are 3, and we lost to KC. So 3 out of those 4 losses were very winnable games.
No, that's it. But anyways, week 4, we're moving on. You're staying at home. You got a nice little stretch at home here, actually.
Another divisional matchup.
Cardinals, first divisional matchup against them. I won't lie to you. I think you're sweeping both the Rams and the Cardinals this season.
I agree with that. I think this is not the way I wanted to start it with us. But I think it's 4-0, man. There's no way we're losing to the Cards.
No, I agree. I think you're moving on to 4-0, and then we go week 5 against Dallas at home. What do you think about this matchup?
Now this is gonna be finally our first big test of the season.
I have to agree with you.
And plus, it's at home. We usually do very well against the Dallas Cowboys. I think they have a hard time playing in our stadium. And I think yet again we'll move on to 5-0. I think this should be a win for us.
I agree. I think it's going to be a gritty affair, but I think you guys are going to edge the Cowboys.
I feel like we just have
defense is going to be too much for Dak, and
I feel like we just have something over Dallas.
Yeah, you're one of those teams that when you play Dallas, it's usually in your favor.
Yeah, they usually have a hard time against us. Now here we go in week 6. I think this is going to be the one in Cleveland Browns Stadium. I think this is the one we lose and move to 5-1. Our first loss on the year comes here against Cleveland.
I actually have you beating the Browns, moving on to 6-0 in the season.
I like that. I hope that's the case, but I think Cleveland's going to be a much improved roster this year.
I don't hate that.
I wouldn't be surprised in a tough AFC if they do make the playoffs. I'm expecting their passing offense to be a lot better than it was last year.
No, I don't hate that, but I think you guys are too much for Cleveland. I mean, other than Amari Cooper, I don't really see them having much weapons on offense.
Elijah Moore?
Elijah, yeah, you know what? Maybe potential. Depends what they do with him. I hope they utilize him because he is good.
A very talented wide receiver.
He's got the speed. He's got the route running. It's just they've got to utilize him. Didn't work out in New York. Maybe move to Cleveland, change the scenery.
A consistent
Deshaun Watson.
Consistent quarterback play should help.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we'll see. Cleveland's an interesting team this year.
Anyway, week 7, moving on to
our game, baby. Our game.
US Bank Stadium, Minnesota versus San Fran, prime timer. I'm gonna go with a win here. We did last week. We talked about the Vikings.
I haven't given you a loss here because I mentioned last week you were taking it out to us. So
yeah, so we're both gonna be at 6-1 on the Niners right now.
6-1 on the Niners. Get it.
Now next up, this is probably our hardest game of the year in week 8. Where we face the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep.
At Levi's. I want you to go first because I'm having a hard time with this one. Cincy's going to be a tough game.
Cincy's going to be a really tough game, and it's really going to revolve around that defense. How good is it going to be? I still think you're going to have a very good defense. Can their O-line keep up with your D-line? That's what I'm thinking about. That's going to be the test.
Exactly. That's one matchup where we really destroy
them. And another thing, I really like your receivers versus their secondary.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have the edge there. I'm not honestly edge Niners here, but it will not be easy. It's going to be a really good. This is going to be a hell of a game, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Week 8.
This should be a primetime game.
Coming off, in my opinion, my view, the loss against the Vikings, I see them bouncing back with a win here against the Bengals.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with a win here. We could definitely lose this. No questions about it, but I think you think about the matchups, our defensive line versus their offensive line, like you mentioned, it being at home, and I think our team just matches up very well against Cincinnati, so I like us to win that. Moving into the bye.
Winning the bye is always nice. You get it halfway through the season.
7-1 going into the bye, I'd be very happy with that, and I'm really expecting it because unless we take some weak losses that we shouldn't take or we get injuries like we usually do, I think we should go into the bye with a very good record. If it isn't 7-1, then maybe 6-2. But
no, for sure.
No reason to not be have a very good record going.
A very fair beginning of schedule for you guys.
Yeah, I like it.
You had 3 tests, right? You got the Bengals, you got the Cowboys, and maybe the Vikings, depending on what they do. Which I see them dropping to. So you got 3 tests, but the rest of your games are very fair.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a nice little stretch of them at home, so it should be interesting.
Yep. Next up, we face the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road, and this is one here coming off the bye. I think we might be a little tired, or not tired, but too well rested. Sorry, and I think we're going to take a loss here. I think Jacksonville is going to be a very good roster this year. I think getting that experience in the playoffs last year is going to really help them this season.
Jags are one of those teams you can't take too lightly.
Plus, with the Ridley addition, I think everything I've seen of him this offseason has been positive, and it looks like he's back to his former self. So I'm expecting big things from Jacksonville, and I think they'll give us our second loss on the year here.
No, I don't hate that take. It's just I have a hard time giving it a loss after the bye. I personally think you guys are going to be rested and ready for this. I'm going to give you the win here, but the Jags this season are a really good team. I like them a lot. I think a lot of teams are going to take them too lightly, and they're going to sneak up on you. Just look what they did last year in the postseason against the Chargers. That huge comeback win against the Chiefs, bringing them to overtime.
Was it over? No, I think
No, it was a last-minute win. It was a last-minute winner.
But they fought, fighting with KC till the end with such a young team, I think is very impressive.
It is. And, yeah, no.
Next up, we move on to Tampa.
No, you're moving on home. We're going back home.
Yeah, but playing against Tampa at home. Week 11, I think, like I've said it earlier, I think Tampa's a hard team to judge. But I think we'll easily knock them off, especially at home. We saw Brock Purdy last year absolutely torch that Tampa Bay defense, so I think he could do it again if he is the starting quarterback by then, and we'll move on to 8-2.
No, I agree. I got you guys actually sitting at a good 9-1 right now.
Imagine, I'd love it.
But yeah, moving on to week 12. I have you taking a loss here against Seattle. I don't see you winning every divisional game, but it also would not shock me if you do.
You know what? I'm gonna take a win here. I think
after Seattle, it's just going to be too much for you guys.
I'm going to go with a win here and move on to 9-2, I think. We could possibly sweep Seattle. I don't know. We'll see later on if I stick with that decision. But I think at the spot that it is in the season, I think we could win. And especially with Seattle, didn't really give us much problems, at least in the regular season last year. We were able to deal with them pretty well, and they did make some adjustment to their roster, and it is slightly better, but I still think we're good enough to beat them, to sweep them.
I know you're a biased fan. I can't hate the take. I would say the same thing.
No, they're a good roster, especially at home. They have a good home field advantage, but
no,
I still like us to beat them.
If there's anyone in your division that I see putting up a fight, it would be Seattle.
Yeah, that's really the only team. I think the other two are... we'll get into them later, but I think the other two teams are...
Seattle's a primetime game, too. This should be a really fun game, honestly, week 12.
Especially that it being a primetime game, I can't see us dropping.
No, that's it. Then you move on
to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the game. This is the game I've been waiting for, getting a revenge on those clowns, that terrible fan base. Time to get our revenge here. Hopefully, this time we'll actually have a quarterback. And plus, it's our Lincoln Financial Field, so it's going to be the same setting as last time. I don't know if we're going to stomp them, but I think our players are going to really, like, they're gonna take this one personal, especially guys like Debo and BA. They're gonna take this personal. I think Philly is gonna think, this is gonna be an easy game like last year, and I think we'll be able to beat them and move on to 10-2, showing that we are one of the best teams in the NFL and really putting the league on notice right now.
No, I have to agree with you. I do see the Niners taking this game. I think, you got a nice little rest. You're playing Seattle Thursday night the week before. You got like 8-9 days rest. Which is huge going into the Eagles game, which you need that. And, I think they're going to bounce back from what they did last year. No one's going to forget that performance.
Exactly. Because I think this means more to the Niners than it does to the Eagles. I think for the Eagles,
it's just another game.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I hear you. I like it. I think they're going to take the Eagles here.
I like it.
Moving on to 10-2 on the year.
And now moving into Seattle. And here, it is at home, but here is the one where I think we do... take a loss. I think coming off like such a big win against Philly, I think the guys are going to be partying a little bit.
A little too hard.
Yeah, and I think it might be a hangover game against Seattle, and I'll give us a loss here to moving us to 10-3.
I'm actually going to give you the win here just because I gave Seattle the win earlier. I don't see Seattle sweeping you.
What do you have a record at right now?
Your record right now is 11-3, 11-2.
11-2, damn, you got better than me.
Hey man, I like the Niners.
Next up, we got Arizona, another divisional game at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. I think yet again we'll take care of business pretty easily against them and sweep them here.
I agree. You're moving on back home, week 16 against the Baltimore Ravens. This should be another fun matchup. I'm really excited for this game.
Yeah, Baltimore's a team that I really like this year. I think they'll be very good this year, but at home at Levi's with our defense, I think we should be able to take care of it. Yeah, I think we should be in full form in playoff mode, and we should be able to take care of business against Baltimore.
I agree. I think this is going to be a fun matchup because you're going to get two storylines, right? You guys are potentially fighting for the 1 seed.
And I think Baltimore might be fighting for a playoff spot at this point.
Exactly. So it's going to be a really interesting game here, Week 16. I'm actually going to edge Baltimore here.
I can see it.
And just because they're going to be struggling more than you guys, I think you guys are going to have a security, like a little safety blanket at this point in the season. And you won't be taking this game as seriously as Baltimore will.
Yeah, I can see it. It's definitely two good teams going at it. Anyone could take it. Next up, FedEx Field in Washington. Who knows what Washington is going to look like by then. But I'm going to give us a win here, moving us to 13-3. Hopefully being at the top of the NFC.
I'm actually going to give you a loss here against the Commanders.
Could be a surprise spot.
I think you guys are dropping one game this year, and I see the Commanders being the one just because you get 4-day rest because you're playing Baltimore on Monday. Team won't be ready because Baltimore is a physical team, the defense especially. So I see them dropping it here.
I respect it. It's very possible. I was considering it, but I think we could still beat the Commanders. And they're a very underrated defense, I believe.
Washington, yeah, very, very underrated.
Nobody talks about guys like Jonathan Allen. So
that D-line, I mean, they drafted everyone in the top 10 for a reason, right? Top 5 for a reason.
Who knows if Chase Young's even going to still be on that roster by then? I saw that Baltimore was interested in him earlier this week.
God, I hope not.
Imagine Baltimore. I just realized now, like in the Madden when I got Chase Young, that's crazy.
I hope not. I hope not.
And to end off the year, we play the Rams. I think we're going to go in. But here, I don't even know if we're going to be playing our starters in this game. Starters or not, I think this is going to be a win going into the playoffs on a nice little win streak. And we move on to 14-3. A record that I wouldn't be surprised if we get that. So.
No, it's a nice record, man. I got you guys sitting at 13-4. I also see you taking the Rams here.
So you think we're going to get the same record as last year? I could see it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very similar. 14-3, I don't hate it.
I think we easily win the division now with...
I think you easily take the division. I mean, we'll get right into it, right? We'll go on. We'll move on to the Seahawks. Actually, I really wanted to talk about that team. Because Seattle, what an offseason.
Yeah, especially in the draft. In the draft, they really hit big with JSN and Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited to see Witherspoon and Tariq for the next 10 years.
Their secondary is very nice, especially now with the addition of Julian Love back there.
And Jamal Adams back healthy, hopefully.
No, Jamal Adams, I'm not too fond of.
I know you're not too fond on him.
I think he's just a blitzer. He's a good blitzer. Besides that, I'm not. In coverage, I'm not.
But that's what they need because they got Witherspoon and Woolen in the secondary. You send this guy in the blitz, changes the defense, right? Who knows?
We'll see, but I'm not too big of a fan of him. They also bring back Bobby Wagner, a legend of that team.
Bring back Bobby.
So I don't even get why he left in the first place. Well, actually, didn't they buy him out? How was it? They waived him, right?
They might have. I think they waived him. They bought him out and they just sent him.
Yeah. Plus, Devin Bush as well coming from Pittsburgh. So they try to re-up the defense a bit.
So we'll see. I mean, we know that defense wasn't too great last season. They had some pieces that looked good. But I really, really like their draft, especially their first 2 picks. And I'm excited to see that offense with Geno Smith another year and adding a guy like Jason in the mix alongside of DK and Lockett. I think it's just going to be elite.
It gives them a really nice slot guy, which I think they've needed for a while.
No, that's it. Plus you got Kenneth Walker running it back.
Zach Charbonnet coming in as well.
Yeah, and a rotation there, running back. I like that a lot. You got Geno. Signed his contract. It's not fully guaranteed, but he still got the money. And the defense upgraded. I think the Seattle team's going to be really underrated this year. Yeah,
me too. I don't know. I think they'll be one of those wild card teams that probably gets bounced in the first round again.
First round bounce. We'll see.
No, they're a good roster, but depending who they play in the first round, if you're a wild card team, you're gonna end up playing a tough team. So I don't think they're better than a Cowboys. Well, actually, no, they wouldn't play the Cowboys. They'd play the Eagles. Maybe if they can match up against whoever wins the Bucks division.
The South, yeah.
Yeah, the South. I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna be interesting. And yeah, let's move on to week 1 for them. They play the Rams. I'm gonna give them at home as well. I'm gonna give them a win here for them to start off 1-0.
Brandon, I won't lie to you. I think the Rams are gonna be one of the worst teams in the league this year. I'm gonna give them another win here as well, 1-0 in the season.
And then next up, they play the Detroit Lions. I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember from last week what I gave as a result for this game.
Our records won't make sense, guys. I'm sorry. We just, but yeah, no, me neither. I can't remember.
I think it's because that Ford Field. I think I might have given them a loss here. I think I gave the Lions the win.
I know the Lions for me started off 0-3, so I gave the Seahawks a win here.
I think I remember saying that they're gonna have a tough opening. Yeah, they did have. I'm gonna whatever. Doesn't matter what I put. I'm putting the Seahawks to go 2-0. I think they're gonna beat the Lions.
I agree with that one. And move on to week 3 at home versus Carolina. Bringing in the Panthers, I think they're gonna take it here again. Moving on to 3-0 on the season. I don't see Carolina putting up much of a fight. They will put up a fight, but I think Seattle's gonna edge them.
I don't know. Carolina's one of those teams that I think could surprise people, kind of.
I agree. They did get the number 1 guy for a reason.
But I do think it's still early in the year for them, and because they're a relatively new team, I'll give them a loss here. And a loss for Carolina, sorry, win for Seattle, and they're gonna move on to 3-0.
Now week 4 at the Giants. Here, I'm actually gonna give Seattle a loss, just because I think they're gonna be riding high 3-0, and they're gonna drop one of these games. I don't see them going 4-0 into the bye, and I think the Giants would be the one to sort of slay them for their first loss on the year.
That's a very early buy in week 5.
I hate early buys.
I think they're gonna win again here. I think they're gonna go to 4-0 going into the bye very happy. And then they got a big game waiting for them in week 6 after post bye against Cincinnati, and I think here they're gonna get put back down to reality. I think they're gonna think they're a big time team when they're really just a fake team. And they're gonna get absolutely smacked by Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals in week 6.
Here's the bias coming out, baby. I love it.
And it's gonna be 4-1 for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's much to say here. I think the Bengals are just going to be a little too much on offense for the Seahawks. The defense is young. I like Seattle's future. Just I don't think they're ready yet to match up with Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. And I think Bengals take this, giving Seattle a second loss for me.
And week 7, they're at home against Arizona. And I think this is going to be where Seattle starts to get back into their reality, where they lose. I'm going to go for the big time shock here. Them losing to the Cardinals. The Cardinals have to, they can't go 0-17.
I'm telling you right now.
In a divisional game, I think Arizona usually always plays them very tough. So I think Arizona's going to take at least one of these games, and they'll be surprisingly here after they come off a big loss against Cincinnati, and they're two losses in a row, 4-2 for them.
I'm actually going to give them the win here. I like that take.
I'm not surprised. It's Arizona.
I think Arizona's going to be one of the worst teams in the league, depending on what Kyler does. If he does come back, they'll win a few more games, but I don't see them being really in playoff contention. And Seattle potentially sweeping them, but I do have them splitting later on in the season with Arizona.
Oh, you think they're gonna? So you agree with me somewhat?
I agree with you somewhat, just not yet.
Next up, week 8, I think, at home against Cleveland. To me, 3 losses in a row, from 4 wins in a row to 3 losses in a row, and they moved to 4-3.
Coming down back to earth real quick.
Yes, sir.
I actually have them taking a win here against Cleveland. I see them bouncing back after that. Oh, sorry, not loss. Sorry, because for me they had 2 losses right before the bye and after the bye. So play Arizona, they're pumped divisional wins. They have a nice rest. Go to Cleveland, stay at home. Sorry. Think this is going to be a very competitive game. This is going to be very fun to watch, and I just think Seattle's going to edge Cleveland late field goal, late touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be I agree. I think they're going to lose, but I think it's going to be one of those like very underrated games. Game to watch. Is going to go down to the end. It's going to be one of the most entertaining games of the week, and I think Cleveland's just going to edge it. Next up, week 9 at M&T Bank Stadium against the Baltimore Ravens, and these guys are losing 4 in a row, man. This is from 4-0 to 4-4. Post by everything changes.
I don't hate the take. I have them losing here to Baltimore as well. I think Baltimore's going to be a little too much for them. Their offense with Lamar and
all the new additions.
It's going to be really fun to watch.
See if Bateman can put together 5+ games this year.
Hopefully, man. I mean, we'll see. That team is very injury prone, but hopefully they're healthy at this point in the season. This, again, should be another fun game to watch. And, I'm giving them the loss here because they're going to Baltimore. I think it's going to be a little too much.
I agree. Now, next up, they play the Washington Commanders, and I think they'll finally bounce back and get over 500 to 5-4 here against the Commanders. I like the Commanders roster in general. Just I'm really not convinced with Sam Howell or Brissett.
I mean, I guess we'll see what Eric Bieniemy can do with them, right? We'll see how good of an offensive guru this man is.
I love the receiving core though. Terry McLaurin, I think, is probably the most underrated receiver in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No one ever seems to talk about that guy when they talk about guys like AJ Brown and Debo and stuff.
Because where would you rank him? Like, would you put him in
that sort of tier? I think AJ Brown, maybe. Good. He's not in the Devontae Adams, Jefferson type tier. Obviously, I don't think he's in. And then I think it drops to like Diggs, Chase. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing people, but.
I don't know. You can maybe make a case for AJ Brown in there. Maybe.
To me, AJ Brown. I think it drops. And I think it's AJ Brown and Terry McLaurin's in that tier. Cooper Kupp, Tyreek. Those guys are up there, obviously.
Yeah.
But in that tier below, I think Terry McLaurin's like right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's not in the S tier, but I think he's in the solid A tier, like middle of the A tier. Pretty good receiver.
I just think his whole career he has not had like a solid quarterback to throw him the ball.
He hasn't had one.
Yeah. I think it's going to be the same again here with Sam Howell. I'm not too convinced about them, and I think Seattle's going to take a win in Week 10.
Yeah, I agree. I also see them taking another one against the Rams, Week 11.
Me too. I think they're going to sweep them as well and move to 6-4. Not much to really say there, I don't think.
No, that's it. Week 12, we mentioned this game earlier. I mentioned it at least. I said they're going to take a win here against San Fran and move on for me 8-3 on the year.
Yeah, this is the one I said San Fran was going to win this one, so 7-4 on the year for Seattle. A nice little record for them.
This guy.
Yeah. But next up, man, they really have the same schedules. We play them here back to back, and then Dallas squashed in between.
Yeah, you know what? You're gonna be surprised.
Yeah, you go first because I have a hard time with this.
So thing is, I have Dallas dropping to San Fran. I don't see them dropping to Seattle, especially being a primetime game. I think Dallas is gonna take it week 13. Here on the road, in Dallas, I think Seattle's taking L here. Dallas taking W.
Oh no! Here I had said for Seattle was gonna be a loss actually against San Fran, right? Yeah, I said San Fran they're gonna win in Week 14. Maybe I'll fix that up after. You said Dallas was gonna win this one.
I have Dallas taking them here.
Yeah, me too. I think they move on to 7-5.
I have them on 8-4 on the year, but I also see them, since I said they won earlier, they're losing this game against San Fran, especially that it's on the road in San Fran. I see them taking it now here. Not much to say.
Yeah, here I said they were gonna win, but I think I mixed it up. So whatever, I'm gonna readjust it, and they're gonna move to 7-6, which would be a very disappointing season for Seattle right now. And I think it gets even more disappointing in Week 15. When they lose to the Philadelphia Eagles and move to a 500 team, 7-7 record.
I also have them taking a loss here. I see them moving to not as bad as you, 8-6 for me.
Still disappointing though.
Still not as good as what they wanted, what they were expecting. But hey, maybe at this point they're in a wild card spot and fighting for one potentially. They have to go on a little stretch, which they definitely can do in the season.
I think their last 3 games are very easy for them. Like Week 16 against Tennessee, they take a win and move to 8-7.
I agree there. I also see them taking a win against the Steelers in 17.
Me too. I think they win out the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Beat the Steelers and beat the Cardinals and move on to a 10-7 football team. Which, you know what? I think it's pretty accurate for them.
I have them moving on to 11-6.
11-6, yeah.
One more win than you. Which is pretty doable. I don't know. I like the Seahawks this year. I think they are going to upgrade from what they did last year. And I mean, we'll see. I'm just excited for the season to start. Honestly,
me too. You think 10-7 gets them playoffs? I think it does.
I think it does. In the NFC, I think it does. AFC's
AFC, I don't think it does.
AFC's a little more tough. We'll have to see. But NFC, I think it does.
So that's gonna be it for Seattle. Next up, we're gonna move on to the Rams.
You want to do the Rams first?
Rams are cards.
We can do the Rams, whatever.
I think we should go in order of where I think they're gonna finish in the division. So
you have the Rams. I have the opposite. But yeah,
you think Cards are gonna have a better record than the Rams?
Yeah, I think so, man. I really don't like the Rams this year. I really don't.
I haven't really taken a look at their schedule, so I'm interested to see what it looks like.
It's not easy. I can tell you that much. Just look at their first 7-8 games.
Alright, we'll see it now when we go through it. I'm gonna let's see. Week 1. Who are they facing? Seattle. I think I give them a loss here already, so.
Yeah, anyways, let's get into it. Rams, what did they do in the offseason, Brandon?
Nothing.
They've done absolutely nothing. They've run it back with a crippled Matt Stafford and hopefully healthy Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp I really like. I can't even lie. He's one of my favorite guys on this roster.
Well, how bad this team's going to be? You think it affects Cooper Kupp's...
I still think he's going to produce.
On what level, though?
At an elite level. He is their only option.
But I don't like the guy. I think Matt Stafford is finished. I think he's had so many injuries. I don't think he's going to be coming into the season at 100%.
Especially with his shoulder. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like Matt Stafford this season.
I think he's got 2-3 years left, Matt Stafford, until he's done.
Hangs up the boots, just runs out the contract and calls it quits.
Yeah, I think he's really banged up, and I don't think he's going to play much longer.
I agree with you. I don't see him going on much longer. It's just I feel bad for Cooper Kupp being locked up in this situation. I want to see this man on a different roster, potentially, one developing and looking for that stud. But
I'd love to see him on another roster because he's a player I really like, but I hate the team he plays for. So I've always never been able to truly appreciate how good he is.
He's one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm, one of the. Would you say he's one of the best receivers of all time?
I don't know if he's there yet.
Because it hasn't been long enough that he's been doing it.
Like he's had that stupid season for 1 year.
But he's in an elite club, 2,000 plus yards.
No, I agree, 1,000%. But I want to see him replicate that at least 2 more times.
Yeah, I agree.
And before he does it, and then it's like, okay, maybe he's better than Jefferson, but you know what? Jefferson's gonna smash his record. So
Justin Jefferson, you can make a case he could be the best receiver of all time by the time he's done.
I mean, time will tell. I'm excited for this year. Let's just get this season done with.
He's got a long time to go. Anyway, Let's move on to this Rams record. Like we said, both of us against the Seahawks in week 1.
And week against the Niners week 2.
Niners lost, so they're 0-2 right now.
You want to make this quick, or because I got them taking another loss week 3?
Yeah, me too. I think there's no chance they beat Cincinnati. Indianapolis. Now this is a team we haven't seen anyone play against in our 2 videos. This is
the first time I believe seeing Indy. They're at Indy, so they're away on the road. You know what? I'm gonna edge the Rams here just because I see them not doing too great the rest of the schedule.
I actually don't know what. Let me just.
I would not be surprised if Indy were to take this one. Just who do they have at quarterback right now? Like who's throwing the football?
Anthony Richardson.
Is it? I don't know, man.
I don't know. Anthony Richardson, I really don't know what to expect from him. I think he could be like a revelation, or he could be like needs a lot of work. I don't know what we're gonna get from him.
No, that's it. Well, here's the thing with the Colts. Honestly, my take. I love Jonathan Taylor. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
Huge JT guy, but that's about it. They don't pass the football consistently. Sorry, Pittman is great. I love Pittman as a receiver. Just doesn't get targeted.
Yeah, he does.
And
I like Alec Pierce though on the receiving room.
They have a decent receiving room. It's just, is their quarterback going to pan out? Is their quarterback going to be able to throw a football? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, they haven't had great options in the past years with Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers. Man, they've gone through some bad QBs. Man. They've traded up, they've traded good stuff to get these guys. And
I mean, you're running back with Gardner Minshew or Sam Ehlinger. What do you do?
Richardson's gonna play. I think there's no question about it. He's gonna make his mistakes on the fly, and they're gonna run with him. I think the Rams are gonna lose again. I think Indy's gonna be good enough to beat them though. So
I see the Rams taking it here. Honestly, surprising Indy moving on to 1-3 on the season.
I'm gonna go 0-4 for them. And now they play the Eagles Not much to be said here again. Another very tough game where they're gonna get an absolute beating.
And
to 0-5.
I see them splitting with the Cardinals.
Me too. I think this is the one where they finally get their first win on the year in week 6. Beat the Cardinals.
I got them beating the Cardinals, moving on to 2-4 on the season.
Which would be very exciting for them.
It would be exciting, potential 500 team, but then they move on. They actually have a nice home stretch here. Wow. Actually, no.
Where they play the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think if they're gonna get any wins this year, it's gonna be one of them. And I think you know what, I'll give them a win here.
I think this Pittsburgh Steelers defense is gonna be too much for the Rams offense.
I don't know. Even Pittsburgh, I have a hard time with them.
I like Pittsburgh here more than I like LA. I'm gonna give the Rams a loss here, just because I think Pittsburgh defense is gonna be really, really good. Which it always is.
Yeah, it's always solid.
So, and it's just going to be too much for that offense that doesn't have much going for it. They don't even have an O-line. So,
the thing with the Rams is I could see them getting some games, like winning some games that you don't expect them to win. So this here against the Steelers where it's a toss-up, I'm just going to give them the win.
No, for sure. I don't hate the take.
Next up, they play Week 8, Dallas. No way they're beating Dallas.
I don't see them beating Dallas either. I don't want to be mean or anything, but I also see them
2-6.
2-6 on the year. That's tough. Week 9, game before the bye.
At Lambeau against Green Bay. We went over this game last week. I gave them the loss. So 2-7. Terrible team.
2-7.
Going into a bye.
Coming off the bye.
They play Seattle. We literally just did this. I don't remember if I can.
Alright, so Seattle swept both of them for me.
For me, did they? Because they're 10-7. Damn, we gotta go to VAR and check the tape or what?
Gotta go to VAR. We'll be back, boys. Don't worry about it.
No. I don't remember what I did here. I thought so. Yeah, I'll give them the win. You know what? I might be contradicting myself here.
It doesn't matter.
But I think 3-7.
And here's my thing, right? I gave them a win against the Cardinals early. I think that's
a loss again.
And move on to 2-8.
For me, they're 3.
2-9.
Yeah, for me, they're 3-8 here. Week 12, they lose to the Cardinals, a game they should win. And then week 13, they play the Browns. They lose again. And move to 3-9.
I got them 2-10 on the year.
It's looking rough. Very rough.
It's looking really rough for the Rams.
Now they play Baltimore, and guess what? They lose again. 3-10. This team's confidence is down the drain. Everybody's injured. Fake injured, like they were last year.
You know what, though?
They play we just did Baltimore, right? Yeah, okay, now the Commanders, week 15. What are we saying? A win. They have to get something. And plus, it's at home.
That's what I'm saying. I'm giving them a win here.
4-10.
3-11. Week 16, they play a tough New Orleans team.
They lose.
I'm going to give them a win here. I think they're going to on a little stretch late on in the season. Have some hope for the fans. I think Cooper Kupp is going to be good enough to win them a few games.
Yeah, well, 4 is a few, so for me, I think so as well. But I have New Orleans winning their division, so this is a game they should be winning if they're going to do that.
Oh, okay, no problem.
New York Giants, loss.
Like I said earlier, I had them streaking a little towards the end of the season. I have them taking a win here, surprisingly.
Oh my, 5 wins on the year. The fans are celebrating in the streets.
Fans are celebrating the street if they have any. Who knows?
That's all I was going to say. If the team's bad, the fans are not going to be... The stadium's going to be empty. Next up, they play San Fran to end off the year, and they take another loss. And they are one of the worst teams in the NFL at 4-13 for me.
I got them sitting at a big 5-12.
I think that's more realistic than mine, to be honest.
I mean, you were just going loss, worst team in the league.
Well, they're not gonna be a good team. What do you think about the playoffs? So yeah, that one was quick, but not much to be said about the Rams.
They've done nothing. They've done nothing. What about the Cardinals?
Arizona Cardinals.
Last team in the division. How are we feeling? Are you scared of the Cardinals this year?
Not at all.
Why not?
The only thing that should be scared of them is Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. Them possibly having the 1 and 2 pick with having Houston's pick this year.
Oh my god, it's true.
Imagine that though. Imagine they would land the top 2 picks in the draft.
Imagine the scenes. Oh my god, they have a really tough start. Oh my god, they have a very tough start.
L.
Honestly, God, I think they take 6 L's in a row.
Yeah, let's start her off. Week 1, they play the Washington Commanders. I think this is a loss for them in week 1. I like the Commanders roster, like I said earlier. For you?
I'm also going to give them a loss in week 1. I don't see them. I don't think Kyler's going to be ready. If he does play, I don't think he's going to be ready week 1. And you mentioned the Commanders earlier. Honestly, you swayed me a little with their team. Got to give them a bit more respect.
Before we get into this, the Cardinals record, don't expect many wins. Expect a lot of losses.
Yeah, I think between the Rams and the Cardinals, these are going to be some of the worst teams in the league. And let's get into it.
Week 2, the Giants, they lose.
I agree with that. I think Giants take this one.
Even though it's at home for them, I think they lose. Next up, Dallas, they lose.
I don't think there's much to be said here. I think Dallas takes this pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree. They're quite obviously the better team than the Cardinals. So I think, week 3 they win.
Week 4 at San Fran. I said San Fran was going to sweep. I'm going to stick by that.
Same. 0-4. Next up, Cincinnati. Everyone playing Cincinnati.
I mean, look, I do not see them beating Cincinnati. As much as I want to give them a win, I just don't see it happening.
I agree. Cincinnati, one of my teams, have probably one of the better records in the NFL, so no way they're losing to the Cards if that's going to happen.
And I know that I said they were going to split with the Rams. I just can't remember where I made them split.
I think at SoFi, at home, we definitely gave the Rams a win, so another loss. And they start off the year 0-6, and they are the worst team in the NFL. Going into week 7 against Seattle at Lumen Field. Here I gave them a win. So this is where they get their first win of the year.
I gave Seattle the win here. I said Seattle sweeping the division.
So you got them at 0-7 to start the year, which I think their fans are going to love because they want that first overall pick. Next up, they play the Baltimore Ravens. And they were so happy in week 7 to finally get a win against Seattle. And guess what? They're back to reality. Back to
stomped.
Get absolutely destroyed by Baltimore and are 1-7 on the year.
I have them losing again.
It's impossible to make a case for this team. Next up, week 9, Cleveland. Maybe Kyler Murray's back by then. Who knows? But even with Kyler Murray, I'm not expecting much. They're losing again. Cleveland takes it against
I got them sitting at 0-9 through the first 9 weeks. And some of these games, I'm looking at them and I don't even think it's going to be close.
Has any team ever went 0-17, 0-6, well, 0-16?
I think, wait, hold on. Let me just double check that.
Let's see. I think they're, I feel like, the Browns definitely went 0-17. 0-16, yeah. The Browns definitely did it. Yeah, I knew it. I knew
Detroit Lions and the Bucks. The 2008 Detroit Lions went 0-16. That is not good.
So yeah.
That is depression at its finest.
Well, for me, they're not. Maybe your Cardinals are gonna match it. Or no, break the record because it would be 17.
No, because I have them splitting with the Rams, so they're taking one game. And week 10, Kyler's back. Second week back.
Playing against Atlanta. And guess what? I'm giving them a loss again.
I'm gonna give them their first win of the season here.
That's possible. Atlanta, plus it's at home. Atlanta is not like some crazy team, but I still think they're a talented roster.
It will not be easy, but I think they're going to take a win here. After getting their first win of the season, though, I think they're going to be really high on momentum and like adrenaline. They're going to be will not take Houston seriously, and I see them dropping.
I think for me, I'm going to give them a win here because I think Houston, this is a game with them having their pick. This is a game they're going to really want to win because they need Houston to lose as much as possible. I think they'll be really up for this game and they'll beat Houston.
No problem. I said earlier they were going to split with the Rams, so week 12 they're taking that game.
I agree. So now they have
2-10 on the season for me.
For me, they're 3-9, so maybe they can actually surpass the Rams. Next up, week 13 against Pittsburgh. They're taking a loss here.
I agree. I'm giving Pittsburgh the win here.
It's gonna be an ugly game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
not a lot of offense.
This will not be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, and then they get into a late bye in week 14. And then they have to play the best team in the NFL in the San Francisco.
This guy.
Yeah, sorry.
He's a little biased if you guys couldn't tell today.
Hey, well, when I start talking about all the teams in the division, it comes up.
I hear you.
They're taking a loss here. No chance they're beating us.
I agree, and you know what? Against the Bears, I have them winning. I can see them.
I don't remember what I put them as.
I don't remember what I put. I think I put the Bears win, but it doesn't matter. I'm giving them a win.
I'm giving them a loss. I don't think they win a game post by, to be honest. Then week 17 against the Eagles. Do we gotta say much? Nope. Loss.
Week 18. The only thing I can say with Seattle is if they're in a playoff spot, then I see the Cardinals winning this game.
I think
because they'll rest the starters. But if Seattle has to fight for it, then I definitely see Seattle winning this one. So just because I think 11-6 is going to be good enough for playoff spots, I'm giving the Cards the win.
From earlier, Arizona, one of their only wins of the year was against Seattle. I think Seattle's going to take that personal, losing to one of the worst teams. They're going to come out week 18 and beat them.
Smash them, yeah.
And I think Arizona's going to be on the beach by then, so it's going to be a 3-14 record.
I have them going 4-13.
One of the worst teams in the NFL.
And we're going 4-13, almost matching the Rams.
So there we are, guys. Just to recap what we got, I got the San Francisco 49ers winning the division at 14-3, being one of the better teams in the NFL, and probably between them and the Eagles, probably the best team in the NFC. And number 2, we got the Seattle Seahawks. Well, I got the Seattle Seahawks at 10-7,
I got
fighting
them also at 11-6
as a possible wildcard team. I don't know if they're gonna make it, but possibly. And third, I got the Rams, being one of the worst teams in the league, at 4-13. And then I got the worst team in the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals, who are gonna get the first overall pick, at 3-14.
I definitely see a case of that happening. I got the Niners at 13-4, winning the division. Seahawks coming in second at 11-6. Rams coming in at 5-12, and Cardinals at 4-13. And that wraps up the NFC West.
So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Getting to see us last week talk about Gianluca's division with the Minnesota Vikings, and this week my division with the San Francisco 49ers. And next week we'll move on to another division. Let us know who you want to see in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Thanks for all the support actually on the last video that we forgot to mention.
Really appreciate that.
We got a lot. It did very well for our standards at that video. So
I mean, hey, I appreciate everything you guys done for us. Honestly, just keep the love coming in. If you're able to interact as much as possible, I'd be greatly appreciated. We love that.
Like the videos.
Yeah, like the videos, comments. But anyways, we'll see you guys next time. Next week, we'll go over another division. Keep the divisions rolling until the season starts, baby. Let's go.
See ya.
See ya.